a 60% loss rate in one battle, a kill ratio of 19 to 1, a climb record that crushed every piston fighter in existence. This is the lightning evolution of American carrier fighters, from rolling disaster to absolute air dominance. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to witness 7 legendary warbirds: the doomed Buffalo, the stubborn Wildcat, the war-winning Hellcat, the screaming death Corsair, and 3 monsters that pushed the piston engine past its breaking point. So let's find out which one was a flying coffin and which one the enemy truly feared. The pioneer Brewster F2A Buffalo. The Buffalo's story begins on December 2nd, 1937, when the prototype XF2A1 first took to the skies over Long Island. In a surprising development, it beat out the Grumman F4F Wildcat to become the U.S. Navy's first monoplane fighter. Officially entering service in June 1939, the F2A1 was powered by a Wright R1820 Cyclone 9-cylinder radial engine producing 950 horsepower. Later models upgraded to a 1,200 HP R1820-40. The Buffalo achieved a maximum speed of 311 to 321 miles per hour depending on version, with an initial climb rate of about 2,070 feet per minute and a service ceiling of 33,000 feet. Its armament consisted of 2 nose-mounted 50 caliber machine guns and 2 wing-mounted 50 caliber guns. Some early models used a mixed 30-50 caliber setup. Maneuverability was a serious weakness. The Buffalo was heavy, prone to instability, and by 1942 was badly outclassed by Japan's nimble Mitsubishi A6M0. Its strengths were a sturdy airframe and decent range. U.S. tactics relied on slash and run, using altitude advantage to dive, fire, and escape rather than dogfight. The Buffalo's most devastating combat came at the Battle of Midway on June 4, 1942. Marine Fighter Squadron VMF-221 sent 25 F-2A Buffaloes into action against the Japanese raid. 15 were shot down, a staggering 60% loss rate. Immediate withdrawal from frontline U.S. service followed, with remaining aircraft relegated to training roles. But the Buffalo's story doesn't end there. In Finnish hands, a stripped-down export variant achieved a stunning 26-to-1 kill ratio against Soviet aircraft during the Continuation War, proving that a mediocre aircraft in the right hands could still be deadly. But for the U.S. Navy, the F-2A Buffalo will always be remembered as the brave but tragically outmatched pioneer of American carrier monoplanes. The Workhorse. Grumman F4F Wildcat. The story of the Wildcat is one of stubborn tenacity, winning against superior numbers. Grumman's design began life as a biplane before evolving into the monoplane that first flew on September 3, 1937. It entered U.S. Navy service in December 1940, powered by a Pratt & Whitney R1830-86 twin Wasp radial engine delivering full 200 horsepower. The Wildcat achieved a maximum speed of 320 to 333 miles per hour, climbed at 3,000 feet per minute, and had a service ceiling of 33,000 to 39,500 feet. Armament typically consisted of 4 to 6 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns mounted in the wings. Its primary weakness was being outturned by the Zero. But the Wildcat had tremendous strengths, rugged construction, self-sealing fuel tanks, pilot armor, and the revolutionary THAC weave, a defensive maneuver where 2 fighters wove across each other's paths, covering each other's tails. The critical moment came on June 4, 1942, at the Battle of Midway. Lieutenant Commander John THAC led 6 F4Fs from the USS Yorktown to escort torpedo bombers. When 20 Japanese Zeros attacked, THAC and his wingmen executed the weave, shooting down 4 Zeros, including 3 by THAC himself. The tactic worked, validating that American pilots could beat the Zero with teamwork and discipline, not just raw speed. By the end of 1942, Wildcat pilots had achieved a 9-to-1 kill ratio against the Japanese. By war's end, the F4F had flown over 15,000 sorties, claimed 1,006 enemy aircraft, and produced 58 aces. The stubby, barrel-bodied Workhorse didn't look glamorous, but it held the line when America needed it most. The turning point. Grumman F6F Hellcat. While the Wildcat struggled to survive, Grumman engineers were already building its replacement, a fighter specifically designed to crush the Zero. The F6F Hellcat first flew on June 26, 1942, and entered service in January 1943. At its heart was the mighty Pratt & Whitney R2810 double WASP 18-cylinder radial engine producing 2,000 to 2,200 horsepower. The Hellcat achieved a maximum speed of 376 miles per hour, climbed at 3,240 feet per minute, and had a service ceiling of 37,500 feet. Armament consisted of 650 caliber machine guns, 400 rounds per gun. Later variants carried 20mm cannons and could haul 2,000 pounds of bombs or 6 HVR rockets. Tactics were simple: dive from altitude, use superior speed and firepower to destroy the enemy, and never turn with a zero at low speed, a rule the Hellcat enforced ruthlessly. The Hellcat's defining moment came on June 19, 1944, the Battle of the Philippine Sea, nicknamed the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Over the course of one day, Hellcat pilots from U.S. carriers shot down nearly 300 Japanese aircraft. Commander David McCampbell, the Navy's top ace with 34 kills, led the charge. By war's end, F6F pilots had claimed 5,216 enemy aircraft destroyed while losing only 270 Hellcats in air-to-air combat, a stunning kill ratio of 19-1. The Hellcat accounted for 75% of all U.S. Navy aerial victories in the Pacific War. It didn't just fight the war. It won the air war decisively, and in doing so became the most dominant carrier fighter of the entire conflict. The Whistling Death. Vought F4U Corsair. The Corsair was a speed demon from the moment its prototype, the XF4U-1, first flew on May 29, 1940. It became the first American fighter to exceed 400 miles per hour in level flight, hitting 417 miles per hour on early models and over 450 miles per hour on later variants. But carrier safety issues delayed its U.S. Navy service until September 1942. The Corsair was powered by the Pratt & Whitney R2808 double WASP engine producing 2,000 horsepower, later models up to 2,450 HP. It had a climb rate of 2,890 to 3,870 feet per minute, a service ceiling of 36,900 to 41,500 feet, and 650 caliber machine guns. The F4U-1C carried 4 20mm cannons. Its most distinctive feature was the inverted gull wing, a carefully engineered solution that allowed the massive 13-foot propeller to clear the carrier deck without excessively long landing gear. Early problems with carrier landing visibility kept the Corsair on land bases flown primarily by the U.S. Marine Corps throughout 1943. There, it earned its terrifying nickname, Whistling Death. The Japanese feared the unique sound the Corsair made. Air passing over its wing root oil coolers produced a distinct whistling noise that signaled death was coming. The Marine Squadron VMF-124 was the first Corsair unit in combat, and pilot First Lieutenant Kenneth Walsh shot down 4 Zeros in a single mission, becoming the first Corsair ace and earning the Medal of Honor. Even more famous was Major Gregory "Pappy" Boyington and his Black Sheep Squadron VMF-214, who racked up 97 enemy aircraft destroyed with the Corsair over the Solomon Islands. When carrier issues were finally solved with British innovations, the Corsair operated from U.S. carriers as well, achieving an overall 11-1 kill ratio. The Corsair was so effective it continued flying combat missions into the Korean War and beyond, a legend with bent wings that never stopped fighting. The mature champion, Grumman F6F Hellcat. The F6F was not a new aircraft, but the perfection of the Hellcat design, entering production in April 1944. It retained the mighty Pratt & Whitney R2800 10W double wasp engine with water injection, delivering 2,200 horsepower. Top speed improved to 380 miles per hour at 23,400 feet. Climb rate reached 3,410 feet per minute, and service ceiling stood at 37,300 feet. Armament remained 650 caliber machine guns, but the big upgrade was practical versatility. The F6F could carry a 2,000-pound bomb load or 6 5-inch HVR rockets under its wings. Its strength were its incredible survivability, armored cockpit, self-sealing tanks, and its adaptability to ground attack missions. Weaknesses? Very few, though at low speeds, a Zero could still outturn it. Tactics evolved from pure dogfighting to devastating low-level rocket strikes and fighter sweeps ahead of invasion forces. The F6F spearheaded the island-hopping campaign, conducting pre-invasion fighter sweeps to destroy enemy aircraft on the ground before troops landed. The F6F-5's most significant contribution was during the invasion of Iwo Jima and the Battle of Okinawa in 1945. Hellcat pilots launched 60,000 rockets against land targets and enemy shipping, providing close air support to Marines and soldiers under fire. One legendary pilot, Commander David McCampbell, scored 34 aerial victories in his F6F, including 9 kills in a single mission during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October 1944. He remains the Navy's top ace of all time. The F6F proved that even as the war escalated, the Hellcat could do it all: sweep the skies, blast ships, and save soldiers on the ground. The ultimate piston fighter, Grumman F8F Bearcat. The Bearcat was born from a simple question: what if you stripped away everything unnecessary and built a fighter purely to climb and kill as fast as possible? The answer arrived on August 21, 1944, when the prototype took its first flight, an astonishing just 9 months after the contract was signed. Delivered to operational squadrons on May 21, 1945, the Bearcat arrived too late for World War II combat, but what a fighter it was. The early F8F was powered by a Pratt & Whitney R2800 34W double wasp engine producing 2,100 horsepower. The later F8F used the R2800 30W, which delivered 2,250 horsepower for takeoff, with war emergency power reaching approximately 2,800 horsepower. With this power, the Bearcat could achieve 455 miles per hour at 28,000 feet and climb at 4,570 to 6,300 feet per minute. The F8F reached the higher figure, service ceiling 40,800 feet. Armament varied by version. The early F8F Bearcat carried 4 50 caliber 12.7mm M2 machine guns, 2 in each wing, a respectable but modest loadout for a dedicated interceptor. However, the later F8F1B and F8F replaced those with 4 20mm cannons, dramatically boosting firepower. The switch from 50 caliber to 20mm meant each round carried explosive filler, turning the Bearcat from a light hitter into a true bomber killer, capable of tearing apart even heavily armored kamikaze aircraft with a single burst. Weaknesses were minimal but significant. The Bearcat traded range for performance, resulting in a combat radius of just 200 nautical miles, far shorter than its predecessors. Its strength lay in its exceptional power-to-weight ratio, rapid roll rate, and bubble canopy, providing excellent visibility. Tactically, the Bearcat was designed as a pure interceptor: launch, climb like a rocket, destroy kamikazes before they reached the fleet, and land. It would have excelled at this mission, but the war ended before any saw action. The ultimate piston fighter didn't need a war to prove its worth. Its sheer performance spoke for itself. And with 20mm cannons, it would have been a terrifying predator in the skies over Japan. The heavy fighter, Grumman F7F Tigercat. The Grumman F7F Tigercat was the U.S. Navy's first twin-engine fighter, a massive, heavily armed monster built to deliver overwhelming firepower. Development began in June 1941 for the new Midway-class carriers, and the prototype first flew on November 2, 1943. Deliveries began in April 1944. The Tigercat was propelled by two Pratt & Whitney R2800 34W double WASP engines, each producing 2,100 horsepower. It achieved a maximum speed of 435 to 460 miles per hour. Later variants faster, climbed at 4,530 feet per minute and had a service ceiling of 40,400 to 40,700 feet. Its armament was devastating: four 20mm cannons in the wing roots and four 50 caliber machine guns in the nose, all firing forward for a concentrated high-damage punch. It could also carry 2,000 pounds of bombs or one torpedo. The Tigercat's strengths were immense speed, heavy armament, and the unusual tricycle landing gear for a World War II fighter. Its weaknesses were equally significant. It was too large for older carriers and had dangerous handling characteristics at low speed during landing approaches. Consequently, the F7F was relegated to land-based Marine Corps squadrons. Tactically, the Tigercat was deployed as a night interceptor and heavy attack aircraft, up high, fast, and ruinously armed. Combat story: the Tigercat missed World War II entirely, but during the Korean War, Marine Night Fighter Squadron VMFN 513 Flying Nightmares flew F7F3N Tigercats on night interdiction missions against enemy supply convoys. On December 2, 1951, Captain Joseph R. Lamotte and his radar operator shot down a North Korean Polikarpov Po-2 biplane during a night mission, one of only two confirmed Tigercat kills in combat. The Tigercat was retired from service in 1954, a mighty heavy fighter that arrived just as the Piston era was ending but still managed to leave its mark on history. In one brutal war, American fighters went from being outmatched to becoming almost untouchable. The Wildcat held the line when there was no better choice. The Hellcat broke the enemy and turned the tide in the Pacific sky. The Corsair made them fear the sky itself. And the Bearcat, it arrived too late to change the war, but not too late to write a legend of its own, because sometimes, even without a war, pure speed is enough to be remembered. So now I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. Which of these beasts would you risk your life in? And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.